There's only one spot that we could begin today, and that is with the most adorable change out of all. Bonzo with a red, no, come back. Bonzo with a yellow outfit, Bonzo with a red outfit. Watch what happens when these two dogs look at each other romantically and make a baby. The new baby, oh, the color rainbow, it persists. Brand new, entirely game-changing changes out of this update when two dogs make a baby or a cat, so the color of the collar, if possible, will combine the outside initial, whatever. They will combine the colors if it's possible. It's beautiful. I love it. And absolutely the most significant thing to happen this week today, yet again, it is Snapshot Day, my dudes. Technically, the technical updates, I mean, I wonder when they are ever going to end, because this is insane. Inside of this week's Snapshot, the technical stuff, we got to get it out of the way. There is tons of a new customization for different items in the game and how they may look. For example, an interesting one that I saw in here was the shield. This is a brand new component, a new way to make a special model for the shield. It'll render a shield, it'll use patterns from banner patterns and base colors, and then has no further fields. The fact that so many other items are now customizable and can have a completely different model, this is fascinating. Like, what in the world does this mean for the future, and what are they actually trying to cook with? Now, you'll have to excuse my ignorance here. Maybe one of you can enlighten me down below, but Boolean properties. We have a bunch of Boolean property stuff for a ton of other things inside of the game as well, including special holiday event Boolean properties. This all makes me wonder if something like this is possible on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and maybe Christmas will finally come to it. But that's not all. It's not just like holidays. It also has to do with if you're carrying something, if you're holding down to this shift button, if you move something back to a hotbar. This is insane. Now, our special models, everything that can be customized. We have the head block, the shulker box, the shield, the trident, the decorated pot. But wait, there's more. We've got the conduit, we've got the banner, we've got the bed. So yeah, all of those different items can have custom models now if you're trying to trick out and make some kind of really cool resource pack. We've also got a brand new thing directly related to models having to do with tinting. Now, this tinting stuff, it's going to come into play when you're, say, maybe dyeing something, but not only dyeing, the grass as well. Something that changes its color from biome to biome. Fireworks can have tints, potion can have tints, and map colors, they can have tints as well. Again, honestly, this stuff is all just insane. All of this technicalness that has been going down inside of Minecraft since like the middle of last year or something. I mean, this is a brand new game internally. While we're on that technical stuff, for one quick more second block tags, we've got a brand new block tag. It is a Be Attractive. We've got a block tag that was removed, which is a tall flowers. They're gone. Different item tags were implemented here as well. These item tags have to do with preferred weapons, a brand new mob mechanic. Now, a little bit of great news for you here. This new preferred weapons mechanic, if you have trouble memorizing things, well, it's easy. Starting with the skeleton in all of its variants, so the stray, the bug. The skeleton's preferred weapon, well, it's going to be the weapon that it usually has, a bow. On the other hand, pillagers and piglins, their preferred weapon, both of them, is going to be the crossbow. And then last but not least, for our preferred weapons, mobs, the drown. Well, would you look at that? What are the odds of it? A drown with a trident, its preferred weapon being the trident. Now, this whole preferred weapons thing, this is going to tie directly into a total rework of how mobs pick up items inside of Minecraft. So, if I'm understanding everything correctly, this drowned right here, it already has a trident, which means if I try and give it something else that maybe isn't as good, well, it's already got a trident, so it's going to want to keep the trident. What if I try and give you a netherite sword? You have a trident? You still prefer the trident, even though that netherite sword is definitely statistically better, right? So we've got preferred weapons. Each mob in its respective category might prefer a certain type of weapon. Within that category, if we had a weapon that, say, got a little bit better, it should theoretically prefer that weapon that is a little bit better. Buddy, will you be able to do it? Look, it's not every day I try and actually upgrade your weapon. Brother, please, upgrade. No? Whatever. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit difficult to explain. It's better that I show it off. So first things first, I need to find myself a zombie that can actually pick up equipment. Alright, fine, I'll do it the technical way. Let's say I had a zombie right here that could pick up an item, and I gave it an item. Well, whenever this buddy decides to pick up that item right there, now it's got a stone sword. If I give this guy a weapon that is a little bit better, it should drop the stone sword just like that on the ground and pick up the better weapon. That means, say, a sword right here, go ahead and level you up one more time, and now you've got a sword. Now, this trident right there, it's got an enchantment, it's a little bit better. If it's an enchanted weapon and those enchantments make the weapon better, that mob is going to prefer that thing. It all kind of comes down to how much damage something is actually going to deal. So this zombie right here has got a Riptide 3 trident. This is a sharpness 5 iron sword. I'm not sure if it actually deals more damage damage inherently than a trident? Probably not. The trident is pretty overpowered, so right now it doesn't seem to really care about the sword. But it's not just about the damage, it's also about how many enchantments something might have. So just a second ago, this zombie didn't care about the iron sword, and so now my sword, it not only has a custom name, a beautiful one, but it also has more enchantments than the trident. It doesn't care about it now. A moment of truth: is the sword better than the trident? Do you want the sword? Do you want the sword? You can have the sword. It's got a cool custom name. No, the trident is still stronger. That means because this weapon is just inherently so much stronger, the zombie still wants to keep it. But check this out. This isn't always going to be the case here. So if I go ahead and kind of restart things over, give you a diamond sword, this same sword, it's an iron sword with sharpness 5, unbreaking 3, and a custom name. Well, if I go ahead and give you that, technically speaking, this iron sword is as good as a diamond sword, and you should be taking it, but guys, I think the new mechanic might be busted. Alright, so getting into the nitty-gritty details here, taking a look at items right here. If the item belongs in the main hand slot, replace the item if any of the following conditions apply. So keep in mind here, this is our direct example. Unenchanted diamond sword, enchanted iron sword with sharpness 5 and unbreaking and a custom name. Technically, to my understanding, the zombie should be replacing the sword because this new iron sword not only has a higher base damage value, but it has more enchantments. I guess damage is the same, but this new item, it has a custom name. Meanwhile, the old one doesn't. I guess a true way to easily test this one out is with my brand new diamond sword number 1. The other one has no name at all. Do you care? Oh, you do care. So maybe it's just the iron sword. You're too smart. You don't want to downgrade the tier. No, who would? But why stop there, right? That would be lazy. Halfway done of the devs to stop with just the items. This actually spills over to armor as well. So check this out. I go ahead and give you an iron chestplate. You equip the chestplate. I give you a gold chestplate, which I think maybe is a little bit better. No, never mind. You're just too smart. You already know that iron is better. I can't trick you. However, a diamond chestplate, definitely better right there. You're going to go ahead and equip that and drop the iron one on the ground. Now, interestingly, do you want to pick up, say, this new iron chestplate instead of the gold one? It's a little bit better, right? No? Okay, never mind. But you know what is better in this zombie's eyes? This chestplate right here with that beautiful name with a hidden message inside of it, huh? Yeah, come to find out, most of you that watch these Snapshot videos are actually not subscribed, and it would make my day if you went ahead and subscribed. Look at that guy. He picked up the diamond chestplate just because it has a custom name. Now let's see what will win out the battle here. We have a chestplate that has a normal plain name, but an enchant. What about an unbreaking 3 chestplate? You want that a little bit more? Oh, yes, you do. You are so smart. You know that name. I mean, it's a great and beautiful message, but maybe in the grand scheme of survival Minecraft, it's not benefiting you. You're still gonna go away. Our brand new mob picking up armor and equipping it mechanics right here. These are the rules. If an item belongs in an armor spot, replace the item if any of these conditions apply. We have a stronger chestplate. We have a higher base toughness value. We have a more enchantments. We have a better in condition item, or that item has a custom name and the old one doesn't. All in all, this is interesting. All of these changes make me wonder if maybe they will, like, I know it's kind of disconnected, right? But if they're gonna change how mobs pick up items, could they ever maybe change how, say, items despawn on the ground too? Because that would be fire. Let's move on. One moment of silence, just a brief one. Because I can't believe it. The chest plate, the armor trimming with the resin, they've removed it from the snapshot. It's gone. It just doesn't exist anymore. Oh, wait, I gotcha. It's actually done with the brick. Wait a second. It's meant to be done with the brick now, but the brick just isn't working. I'm kidding, guys. Please laugh. I hope I'm kidding at least. The changelog says it should be the resin brick, but it just doesn't work anymore. The interesting thing with this one is I think they changed this because this little icon right here didn't have the resin clump popping up. Somebody pointed that out, and yeah, so instead they made it the resin brick, which is the ingot one, which, weird. And next change, I don't know when this happened, probably last snapshot or something, but inside of the spawn eggs tab, the creaking heart is sitting right up there. That wasn't always right there, right? And what about these spawners as well? I think this one was, but was the trial spawner always? That's strange. The creaking. I want to take a look at this week's creaking changes because they are interesting. So, first things first, if we have a creaking, we can no longer throw a wind charge at the buddy and move it. Instead, if I hit this thing with a wind charge, well, it'll do the whole resin generation thing instead. This is going to be the same in survival, where in the previous snapshot, you could actually hit this thing with a wind charge and move it and knock it back, sometimes with explosions as well. That no longer is going to work. Now, another interesting creaking change here, the creaking, and this is going to be impossible to show off here, but let's say I had one player in creative mode looking at the creaking, and then I had one player in survival mode looking at the creaking. As long as that survival mode player is looking at the creaking, it's not going to move. But then as soon as me and survival look away, well, the creaking, it could then move, even if the creative player was still staring at the creaking. This is basically just kind of a doubling down of the creaking mechanic and how this thing is actually meant to work. Meanwhile, if you were curious about the creative mode behavior, if I'm in 100% creative mode, the creaking, well, it'll continue to behave just like how it did previously in creative mode. Another fascinating little creaking buff here, the dog, dear Bonzo, go get it. If the creaking hit me before, well, now my tamed dogs will actually try and attack the creaking. And interestingly, if we take a look at the not so fast, buddy, what's happening over here, I can go ahead and break this. The dog's gonna hit it, and yeah, Brains a new automatic farm unlock is beautiful. Finding myself a pale guard and a far and distant one. Let's take a look at the details here, because inside of this week's snapshot, the eyeblossom, it's got a big change. Eyeblossom, you know how it works. We kind of have not one, but two separate versions of it. Previously here, my buzzy bee friend, it would actually pollinate the closed eye blossom. Well, no longer will it pollinate the closed eye blossom. Instead, it will pollinate on the open one. This is like an interesting little lore thing. The bee is smarter than we might have thought. But I mean, at the same time, it's also not, because it tries to pollinate on the open eye blossom and it takes damage, which isn't exactly great. But yeah, basically the change here is that the bee does no longer care about a closed eye blossom. And this caring about a closed eye blossom, it goes over to even like tempting and breeding the bee with the thing too. It just doesn't care about the item at all. This is where that new item tag that we talked about earlier on comes in. Meanwhile, the open one, I could go ahead and breed the bees with it, but it will poison the bees. So like, why did I actually want to do that? The bees don't get mad at you though, so at least there's that. How did I miss it? It's despicable of me. I literally had it marked it down to make sure I would mention it instead of last week's. Whoops, sorry, Bonzo. I had it specifically marked down so I would make sure that I would mention it in last week's snapshot video, and I failed to. The Ender Dragon. Huge upgrade. So this one here is going to come into play when you're trying to do the final thing inside of your world, at least for like the base core loop. You slide into the end, you find the dragon, and it's time for the battle. So the big change here, it has to do with what happens when the dragon eventually decides to land over here on the central end portal. And this change right here, kind of in a way, is going to completely shift how this fight takes place. So eventually here, from patient good old Bertha is going to go ahead and swing over to the center and land. Now previously, the bug here, it had to do with hitting the dragon. Like it was hard to hit the dragon. Sometimes it just wouldn't go through. Now, no longer is that the case. You can swing over to anywhere, and as long as you're hitting the hitbox, the hit is actually going to properly land on the dragon. This is huge. See, I don't know about you, but I know for me, definitely, there were so many times where I would be swinging at the dragon, and I'm like, why is the hit just not landing? Well, it was actually a bug that was in the game for literally years, and it's squashed. A great change for sure, but what do you think? Should they modernize the dragon fight and change it even more? And today, where I think I want to leave you at is with a most sus change of all time, Suspicious Stew. There are so many different Suspicious Stews in the game, and just about every single one of them has a duration adjustment. For example, let's take this new one. I believe this is going to be maybe the blindness one. I'm not too sure. With the open eye blossom, I'll go ahead and craft it inside of the table just like that. I get myself a Suspicious Stew. If I go ahead and drink this Suspicious Stew, I will now be granted, blindness for 11 seconds total. This right here is a parity update to bring it in perfect parity with Minecraft Bedrock Edition. The only two sus stews that haven't changed in this week's snapshot is saturation and night vision. And so, for this week's round of changes to Minecraft's currently unnamed Winter Drop Update, that's about it. My patrons, Ground Crazy May, Medical, Boomstick, Fire Dragon 19, Steve M, Nick C, The Duke, Pixie Phantom, Deb K, and Fateful Grimoire. Thank you. If you didn't hear, I've been doing a brand new hardcore live stream series. I'm probably going to be live again this Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'd love to see you there. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.